That was the April 8th. We did.
Okay. Okay.
That's right.
So you're making a motion to amend the minutes for that meeting?
Yes, for April 8th. And I think if we just take out, because she continued to speak about people wanting to change, but just put a period there and eliminate the number in front of that.
Mr. Myers, do we need a second for a motion to amend the minutes for April 8th?
I would think so.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any questions from council regarding Ms. Tuck's motion? Hearing none, can we get the vote, please?
Mr. McCravy?
Yes.
Ms. Gould?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Ms. Tuck? Yes. Mr. Huffman?
Yes.
Mr. Rexroad?
Yes.
Mr. Polkowski?
Yes.
Ms. Daly? Yes. Mr. Reynolds?
Yes, motion passes. Let's see, do we have any reports from standing or special committees tonight?
Mr. President,
Mrs. Cool?
on April 30th, the Personnel Committee meeting, members met. Everything that was discussed at the meeting is now on the agenda for tonight.
Thank you. Anyone else? Reports from standing or special committees? Hearing none. We will now open our public forum. Madam Clerk, do we have anybody signed up to speak?
I think we have 4, sir. The first one is Brian Hayden, followed by Sue Ellen Wainwright.
Public forum is now open. Mr. Heaton, which agenda item are you speaking about tonight?
Number 5 will be covered. Number 3 will be covered. And Robert's Rules of Order in general. I chose my words carefully this evening because I've already been threatened with arrest and have been ejected by the chair of these proceedings. Germane to the body of this council, one item was amended, the minutes. I agree with that. Ms. Mary Go did not speak past 4 minutes. She was interrupted at 52 seconds before the council left. I also believe that it should be amended to reflect that the motion to adjourn from that meeting was not properly made. It is considered impolite in violation of Robert's Rules of Order to interrupt a speaker or attempt to speak without being recognized. Now, there are a few exceptions where a member can interrupt a speaker, such as when raising a point of order, a point of information, or a point of personal privilege. Councilperson Cool did raise a point of order. However, they did not follow through with the point of order. The chair did not rule on a point of order. That councilperson jumped protocol and immediately made a motion to adjourn. Making a motion during a speaker's presentation is not proper protocol for Robert's Rules of Orders. The minutes should reflect that this was not a properly adjourned meeting. From the minutes of April 15th, it is noted that there is a verbatim account of the chair's opening proclamation about Robert's Rules of Order and decorum in this chamber. I question that there is a conspicuous absence of the mayor's deplorable advocacy for extrajudicial capital punishment. Tonight, as in the past, the chair has stated that public forum is governed by Robert's Rules of Order. I have begun a concerted effort to study Robert's Rules of Order. It is an incredibly boring topic, but I am making sure that I am fully aware of what Robert's Rules of Order. So when I speak in front of you, not only do I speak with an authority of the truth, but I speak in an appropriate manner and follow decorum. What I have learned from studying Robert's Rules of Order is that there is such a thing called the Dunning-Kruger effect. And if you don't know what that is, look it up because it abounds in this chamber. For Roman numeral 7, resolutions, number 2, the attached email, as the council representative, our councilperson Cool said is included, or maybe not, that resolution. But the paving revisions, I have a severe problem with and question why on a government email or council persons using personal email addresses, they're listed right there. I thought we had a government contracted IT department that kept our records for records retention as well as public accountability, and would have a policy against the use of personal emails for official government business. And with that, that's all I got.
Next we have Ms. Wainwright, followed by Mr. Bauer.
Mrs. Wainwright, which agenda item are you speaking about tonight?
Agenda item number 5.
Thank you.
Can you all hear me? I've heard that can be a problem.
Put it down a little bit. Pull it up just a little bit. There you go.
One more time. You're not counting my time.
That's better. No, we'd start again.
All right.
Go ahead.
I am here tonight to talk about the proposed revisions to position classification schedule from particularly grades H7, NEO Sanitation Department, and grade H7A, NEO Street Department, under Agenda 5. And by the way, thank you for putting these on the agenda. Since you have open positions in both areas, I was able to review the job descriptions of each. Other than a different class on the commercial driver's license required, I do not see a significant difference in the responsibilities, duties, and accountabilities between these two grades of employees. I'm going to keep my discussion limited using the proposed minimum hourly rate as described in the attachments to the agenda. For sanitation workers, the minimum hourly rate proposed is $13.55. The street department workers is $14.08. Even though neither one of these proposed rates are actually a living wage, why is there a 53-cent difference between the two departments when they're essentially the same job? You have had open positions for sanitation workers posted on your website since November of 2023. You are so understaffed that it has become a regular practice. Either trash or recycling or both have been canceled almost on a daily basis. Why can't you understand that employees cannot work in these dangerous positions, often on 12-hour shifts, for these pitiful wages? Rents are up, utilities and food have skyrocketed. If they earn more in a safe environment working in a fast food restaurant, why would they continue to work in the city? I keep hearing that you cannot raise sanitation workers' pay because they are paid out of a separate fund. You are raising sanitation rates by $4 per month per household starting July 1st. Quoting Eric Giles at a budget meeting, this will generate about $500,000 for that fund resort. I don't mind paying $1 more a week to have consistent, reliable, and trash and recycling pickup. If you raise the minimum hourly rate for both H7 and H7A to a minimum $15 per hour, it is not comparable to the private companies that start workers at $22 an hour, but it would be an improvement. And it will help both the employees and the general public who depend on these services. You have an opportunity tonight to either amend this ordinance or send it back to the committee for a rewrite. Do the right thing by your employees and Parkersburg residents.
Next we have Russ Bauer, 29th Street, followed by Mary Doe, Oak Street.
Mr. Bauer,
Hello.
which agenda item are you here to speak about tonight?
I'm going to talk about item 5, the classification compensation pay plan.
Yes.
Just to let you know, I am a retired human resources director. I've worked about 24 years in human resources. I have a master's degree and certification as an SPHR in human resource management. A couple of discrepancies I see. First of all, I think it's great that you're giving a 4.2% pay raise rates across the board. However, the documentation only says for part-time and civil service positions, it doesn't say for any full-time positions, so I'm sure that's just an oversight that will be corrected. Also, I looked at the classification of pay plan. I did not even see line item for sanitation workers. I do also notice that there's not a line item for the homeless outreach coordinator in the pay plan as well. Obviously, there should be for both of these positions. And the other thing I'm concerned about is the motor equipment operator medium position has two different pay grades, and one for sanitation and one for two other departments. And I have written literally probably 10 or 12 or revised 10 or 12 pay plans over my career. And if it's an MEO position that requires a CDL, then it should be the same pay plan paid for regardless of what their duties are, because you're paying them for their credentials of having a CDL and a high school diploma or whatever other requirements you have. So to distinguish between sanitation CDL or MEO and the other MEO is incorrect based on my knowledge and experience. And I did work, by the way, for Palm Beach County government and the state of West Virginia during my career. Those are big concerns. I also think that the whole pay range for the hourly workers is grossly low. I don't know if it's because of COVID and you haven't increased it periodically or whatever, but the way I always did it when I wrote the pay plan is build in a cost of living raise every year and would go to our board of directors or whoever it was I reported to and say, this year we'd like to increase across the board pay 2%, 3%, 4% or whatever. And clearly that hasn't been done because the pay ranges are pretty low. And I'm kind of embarrassed to be a resident of Parkersburg with some of these pay rates as low as they are. What I would suggest is that you do, and I know one was done several years ago, a new salary survey across the state and update everything and get it in order. Make sure that these job titles have pay ranges that correlate with the title. I understand that the MEO position is the goal for some of these sanitation workers. However, I'm concerned that the current sanitation workers that don't have the CDL.
Mr. Bauer,
Yeah.
you've reached your 4-minute limit, and if after the meeting, if you'll see the clerk, I'll ask her to give you my phone number, and we'll try to get you to the right department to get some answers. How much? Thank you.
The last one we have is Mary Go.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Which agenda item are you here to talk about?
I am speaking on agenda item 6, a message from the executive. So, good evening, members of the council, our city leadership, and all of my fellow neighbors that have showed up again. My name is Mary Go. I'm a District 8 community member. I rise tonight to speak on agenda item 6, the message from the executive. That is a space where words carry weight, and the tone matters as much as content. And specifically regarding the statements made at the last meeting held on April 15th. As residents, we listen closely when our leaders speak, because words matter. They reveal intentions. Watch your thoughts, or they become words. Watch your words, or they become actions. That wisdom reminds us, everything we say and do begins with what we believe, and these actions will define the character of this city. We cannot afford rhetoric rooted in hatred or actions driven by retaliation. It erodes trust, damages morale, and it will drive good people away. That is not my vision for Parkersburg. If our thoughts are grounded in compassion, our words will reflect care. And if our words reflect unity, our actions will build community. Let us lead with kindness and speak with care. And remember that every seat of power carries the responsibility to serve. That includes showing up with accountability, especially when we fall short. So the reason why rivers and seas receive the homage of 100 mountain streams is that they keep below them. Thus they are able to reign over all the mountain streams. So the sage, wishing to be above men, putteth himself below them. Wishing to be before them, he putteth himself behind them. Thus, though his place be above men, they do not feel his weight. Though his place be before them, they do not count it as an injury. Public service is a very noble calling. As I've said it before, it is not easy. You guys deserve appreciation. There is strength in leading with grace, and there is responsibility in holding a microphone, because the words spoken into it reflect our leaders' thoughts. That's why the message from the executive matters. It's not just a formality, it will set the tone. It reflects not just policy, but posture. The posture of a leader comes with the expectation that they model the best of our values: kindness, respect, and courage. When leaders choose kindness and collaboration, we all rise together. One of my heroes, Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, said, "Fight for the things that you care about, but do it in a way that will lead others to join you," such as hosting a meeting with 100 interested volunteers. I care about Parkersburg, and I would like to see it thrive for generations. When I speak out, I do so to build something better and to be a positive force of change. She also said, "Speak your mind, even if your voice shakes." And that is what I'm doing. I am speaking, despite fear, because I know I am not alone. And I will continue to speak for those that are still gathering their courage. It is easy to give into outrage, but I believe I am called to be better. I will continue to advocate for leaders who choose encouragement and uplift, and who stand behind their community so others can shine. I speak to contribute because I believe in Parkersburg. I believe we can be a stronger, safer, more inclusive city, and I believe in the wisdom, heart, and the integrity of our people that are concerned about our city. Thank you so much for allowing me this time to speak, and for hearing not only my words, but the hopes and values that come from behind them. Thank you.
That's all we have, sir. We needed to go like this.
And we'll move on to message from the executive. Mayor, do you have anything tonight?
Yeah, I'll try and be brief. One thing that I do want to point out with regards to are aware of this. I believe this makes the 8th or 9th consecutive year that this council has approved the budget with the cost of living adjustment for this being July 1st, so cost of living adjustment for all employees across the board. I want to talk briefly about the item with regards to residency and for our fire department. I made a comment to one of you earlier today. I don't have a lot of strong feelings about this particular legislation, but I do have very strong feelings that and trust and respect for Chief Matthews. And you know, you look at all the improvements that we realized in our fire department over his tenure, Chief, close to it. You know, we've had 2 improvements in our ISO ratings. You know, he's done a lot of work with regards to fire stations, not just designing the first 2 replacements, but also relocating the most recent currently under construction fire station to improve the fire response to, I'm going to get it wrong, I want to say about 900 residents. So I've had a handful of folks say, why would you want to let your fire, you know, I think he addressed that. He may have receive some of those questions again tonight, but I just wanna, say, I don't want anybody to think I don't care about this legislation. I care about it, but more importantly, I just wanna, Chief Matthews is responsible for running our fire department. He's ran it extremely well for, let's say, going on 10 years. And I was supportive of this when he was brought to me 4 or 5 months ago. To staff, manage, run the day-to-day operations of our fire department, make those decisions, and Chief Matthews. And that's all I have tonight, Mr. President. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Madam Clerk, do you have communication?
I do. We have communication from Mayor Tom Joyce nominating Mr. Zach Stanley, 26 Walbrook Drive, as a member of the Municipal Planning Commission for a term to expire May 13th, 2028.
Mr. President,
Yes, sir.
move to accept the nomination for Mr. Stanley.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to confirm. Are there any questions from council? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, the vote, please.
Mr. McCready?
Yes.
Ms. Cool?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Ms. Tuck? Yes. Mr. Huffman?
Yes.
Mr. Rexroad?
Yes.
Mr. Borkowski?
Yes.
Ms. Daly? Yes. Mr. Reynolds?
Yes. Mr. Zach Stanley is going to be on the Municipal Planning Commission. Motion carries. Resolution number 2, please.
A resolution requesting approval of a budget revision in the amount of $500,000 for the purpose of awarding the spring 2025 paving contract.
Mr. President,
Mrs. Cole,
move for adoption of the resolution.
Second.
we have a motion and a second. Are there any questions from council? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, the vote, please.
Mr. McCready?
Yes.
Ms. Cool?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Ms. Tuck? Yes. Mr. Huffman?
Yes.
Mr. Rexroad?
Yes.
Mr. Borkowski?
Yes.
Ms. Daly? Yes. Mr. Reynolds?
Yes, resolution passes. Number 3, please.
A resolution amending the rules and regulations of the Parkersburg Fire Department, Chapter 10, eligibility for appointment, Section 1000.12. Members of the Parkersburg Fire Department shall maintain a full-time residence within a 90-minute drive time from the Parkersburg Municipal Building, 1 Government Square.
Mr. President,
Mrs. Cole,
move for adoption of the resolution.
Second.
we have a motion and a second on number 3. Are there any questions from council? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, the vote, please.
Mr. McCready?
Yes.
Ms. Cool?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Ms. Tuck? Yes. Mr. Huffman?
Yes.
Mr. Rexroad?
Yes.
Mr. Borkowski?
Yes.
Ms. Daly? Yes. Mr. Reynolds?
Yes. Resolution passes. Ordinance on final reading, please.
An ordinance amending Article 135809, private outdoor designated areas, to expand the time to be all year round, and Article 135802, definitions, and 135804, participation.
Mr. President,
Mrs. Cool,
Move for adoption of the ordinance on final reading.
we have a motion and a second. Are there any questions from council? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, the vote, please.
Mr. McCready?
Yes.
Ms. Cool?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
No.
Ms. Tuck? Yes. Mr. Huffman?
Yes.
Mr. Rexroad?
yes.
Mr. Borkowski?
Yes.
Ms. Daly? Yes. Mr. Reynolds?
Yes, ordinance passes on final reading. Ordinance on first reading, please.
An ordinance amending and reenacting the classification and compensation plan for the city of Parkersburg, Table 1, part-time hourly positions, and Table 3, civil service non-exempt position classifications.
Mr. President,
Mrs. Cool,
move for adoption of the ordinance on first reading.
we have a motion and a second. Are there any questions from council?
Mr. President,
Mrs. Tuck,
I believe a question was raised about these positions, and as we know, these are part-time hourly positions in Table 3 civil service. I believe this rate went into effect for the other positions at a different time. This is just for this particular, help me out here. This is just for part-time hourly,
council on this first reading number 5? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, the vote, please.
Mr. McCready?
Yes.
Ms. Poole?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Ms. Tuck? Yes. Mr. Huffman?
Yes.
Mr. Rexroad?
Yes.
Mr. Polkowski?
Yes.
Ms. Daly? Yes. Mr. Reynolds?
Yes, ordinance passes on first reading. Item number 6, please.
An ordinance amending and reenacting the City of Parkersburg Policy and Procedure Manual, Section 9, subsection C, Sick Time Payout Program.
Mr. President,
Mrs. Cole.
move for adoption of the ordinance on first reading.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Do we have any questions from council? Hearing none, I have a question. I'm not sure who to direct this to, but probably our HR lady, Jennifer. So could an officer of 20 years retire and pull set accrued time at 50% pay? I know there's limits.
I don't like this one.
I think there's officers under the old plan, right?
Correct, yes, so if you're under the old retirement plan, you cannot use your sick time to count towards your service, which is an option civilians can do under the Consolidated Public Retirement Board. So this would give them an opportunity to utilize that sick time, because if they choose not to put it towards the cost of their health insurance benefits, then they would simply lose those accrued hours of sick time when they retire. So
That's
this would
dumb.
give them a way to use that leave bank.
So we're actually adding the benefit
Correct, yes.
to, so would they be able to take those accrued hours and cash them in at 50% value if they're on the old plan?
Correct, yes.
Okay. Thank you. Anybody else on council have questions? Thank you. Madam Clerk, I guess we're ready for the vote.
Okay. Mr. McCready?
Yes.
Ms. Poole?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Huffman?
Yes.
Ms. Tuck?
Yes.
Mr. Rexroad?
Yes.
Mr. Polkowski?
Yes.
Ms. Daly?
Yes.
Mr. Reynolds?
Yes, ordinance passes on first reading. Number 7, please.
An ordinance amending and reenacting the City of Parkersburg Personnel Policy and Procedure Manual, Position Classification Schedule.
Mr. President,
Mrs. Cole.
move for adoption of the ordinance on first reading.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any questions from council on item number 7?
Mr. President,
Mrs. Tuck?
I have a couple. I was just, could you clarify if this is reenacting the personnel policy and procedure, or if it is reenacting the classification and compensation plan? Is that the same thing, or are those two different?
Let me take it.
Okay.
So item 7 is the inspector, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so currently,
He don't know nothing.
we do not have a pay range for a civilian fire inspector. Those of you that were here a couple, I think it was last summer, Chief Jennifer helped me out.
Yes, correct.
We crafted an ordinance, passed an ordinance that allowed for the first, this position of inspector to be offered to, available to a sworn firefighter. Chief, is that the proper vernacular? A sworn firefighter. With council enacted some guardrails with regards to, it's a Monday through Friday job, it's a 40-hour-a-week day job. I won't get into all the detail, but there were a lot of confusion, a lot of consternation with regards to the way Chief Matthews managed that particular position within the department. So, as he stated at the personnel committee meeting a couple of weeks ago, there were no current eligible folks, active firefighters that wanted to show an interest in the job. And so, if we're going to open it up to civilians, it's got to have a hole in a line item in the gotta be in a paper. You know, with regards to a sworn civil service firefighter, uniform division, that was outlined in the ordinance, and it was prorated based on your rank. Mr. Myers was, clever, I guess, and to make sure that there was protection should a lieutenant go back, come in and take the job, they got paid a lieutenant's prorated day rate. And then if they wanted to leave that position, they could go back and they would still be a lieutenant, they would maintain. So all this, number 7 does is you're approving a pay range, which is, help me out, H12, that's where this job got placed.
Yes, sir, thank you. And I guess I was just asking if that is a part of the personnel policy and procedure, or if it comes from the classification compensation plan that was in the
The classification plan is a part of the policy and procedure manual.
Okay, thank you. The other question I had, if I may ask.
Oh, yeah, you had 2. I
had
just did.
Oh. That was okay. So I guess my question was, is this is this
Spit
the
it out.
starting pay raise? I know there's a range, but is it just the higher, and can it be changed at any other time other than at higher?
So the way we have it set up is that every position has a minimum hourly rate. And then obviously if you see the minimum hourly rate in the salary format, which is 2,080 hours, that's going to be your minimum salary amount that's listed there. So the position can be, as long as the position is within that range. So if somebody comes in and they have an exceptional amount of certifications or something like that, because of the range, we can offer it above the minimum hourly rate. It's just that's the base threshold.
Correct. And then can that be changed once the person is employed? Can you switch to a higher range in the middle? I guess what I'm trying to see is does, my phrases, so if a person is hired at that rate and then 6 months into it, you see they're doing a fantastic job, can you bump it up to a higher rate, or is that done during budget process?
That would be done typically during the budget process.
Thank you.
Have any other questions on item number 7? Council? Thank you. Hearing none, Madam Clerk, vote please.
Mr. McCready?
Yes.
Ms. Cool?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Okay.
Yes.
Ms. Tuck?
Yes.
Mr. Huffman?
Yes.
Mr. Rexroad?
Yes.
Mr. Polkowski?
Yes.
Ms. Daly?
Yes.
Mr. Reynolds?
Yes, ordinance passes on first reading. We have a motion to adjourn. Okay, we are adjourned. Our
May 27th.
May 27th, we have a PRA meeting, and our next council meeting will be May 27th.
And then June 10th and June